otherwise we would just not be the individual that we are. So let us get started. We're going to stand and we're going to say the pledge of allegiance together.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. We have two sheets here. We have scratched up their names. If you've already spoken during the last public hearing, we're going to still let you speak, but we want to hear from people who haven't spoken. And so we're going to go down the list. If you've already spoken, we didn't skip over you. We're going to come back to you, but we want to hear from people who haven't spoken. 3-minute time. Okay. First on the list is Maureen. Maureen, you have to speak. You spoke yet, have you? Not during the meeting.
Not in a meeting.
Okay.
That working?
Gotta hold
I
your
don't do
mouth.
anything, right?
Just hold it in your mouth.
Okay.
Close.
Maureen Prodiska, grew up in Tama County, seen a lot of changes. I'm not for or against turbines. I am for landowners being able to decide what they want to do on their own land. I am for not wasting money on a lawsuit we will not win. And I am for bringing in more tax dollars to Tama County, which we desperately need. Phase 1, we went to court. The judge ruled in their favor. They did not break any rules. They followed all the steps they were supposed to. Those rules that were in place at the time. Phase 2 has done the same thing. If we take this to court, we will lose. We will lose money. We will lose a lot of money. It could even bankrupt the county. City of Toledo has passed a resolution I'm aware of that is in favor of allowing these to go through. They know what money that will bring in. South Tama Community School District has passed a resolution. They know what money this will bring in. This needs to pass. We need to move forward. It's only 27 more broken. We need to move forward.
Thank you. Okay, Jen Wilson.
Good evening, I'm Janet Wilson. I farm with my husband, a 4th-generation farmer from Cleatier. Thank you for holding the evening forum. After 3.5 years of working to improve our weak and outdated ordinances, it is extraordinary tonight to be looking at an agreement that bypasses even those laws. Tama County citizens worked to get 5 supervisors on the ballot and find 5 candidates willing to champion our county. Those candidates won. Clearly, the voice of the majority was heard. Now, citizens are hearing our champions say they just want the wind issue over. Some constituents have called saying they want it over. Have any of you supervisors asked them if those companies should be allowed to proceed without following Tama County law, without oversight, without accountability? Do you, our champions, really think this will be over for Tama County? Precedent will be set for multi-billion-dollar companies to come to our county, throw down money, demanding they don't need to follow ordinances either. Whether it's a data center, a solar farm, a carbon pipeline, or battery storage, the scenario will be money offered, followed by threats. Salt Creek Wind 2 applied for a permit before the wind moratorium passed. Enticement or threat did Salt Creek Wind use to convince you that they deserved a free pass on permitting? The application was not even completed. Why would our champions agree to anything other than our normal protocol for conditional use permits? In the settlement, it states oversight will be by another person appointed by the supervisors to enforce ordinances. Why would you agree to ban the zoning administrator from inspecting the construction and writing citations when work was not within our laws. Per Iowa Code 335.9, the administrative officer is authorized to enforce the resolutions and ordinances adopted by the Board of Supervisors. In Tama County Ordinance 6, Section 400. Individual designated by the zoning administrator with your approval. If company intend to follow the ordinances, they should not be afraid of inspections or be worried about citations. If you supervise action, like any citizens in Tama County would volunteer to sit on a zoning commission or board of adjustment, our board members have spent countless hours researching to protect our county, only to see their work thrown away. As this passes, future volunteers would likely be more interested in making easy money without regard for our wildlife, livestock, farmland, quality of life. Mr. Dolan stated that the Board of Supervisors has ultimate control, legislative, executive, and judicial power in the county. I urge you to vote no to maintain your integrity in that ordinance.
Pizza. Okay. You're not gonna speak at all. Sweet. State your name out now. Okay. Nancy is spoken or anything here, Brian?
Thank you, Eric Lyon, north of Toledo, surrounded by these turbines, by it looks, unless something changes. So for my neighbors had a couple of concerns that I wanted to express. This agreement should not be signed quickly, it needs careful reviews, so parties understand the agreement. And it does not necessarily favor just the wind, all the people. A lawyer in town here at the beginning of our wind episodes here in the county, Denny Applegate once said this. A lot of fine print. Nobody should sign a contract like this, in his opinion. Pretty good lawyer. Also on page 5C, I think we should get a good explanation of what that means and what the intentions are. Is there plan agreements with landowner signed for phase 3? There were some questions that folks had asked. What's the purpose of zoning? Well, think about it. Why do we even have some individuals don't build structures that devalue their neighbors, area around them? It's an ag zoning, an industrial zoning. That's what zoning is all about, right? If we're going to bother to have one, we're going to do. And someone mentioned that, they already were losing money on this delay, which I understand. That's probably true in their individual case. But I believe it'll depreciate the land around an ag zoning and purpose and use. We built 40 years of land equity growth in our farmland, which is honestly the reason a lot of our ag operations last 40 years is the increase in the equity of our land. And I think almost growth of equity in agriculture, given the prices that we live under and put up with for our ag commodities. Say the least are before we go any further. No, I'm not really for that. I understand there's a lot of inertia to make this go through for a lot of people, but it's not to me a really use for ag land, and the depreciation that I'm most concerned about. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I'm Scott Snyder. I live north of here. Contract that we have here. I have concerns for the landowners. Main concern is that the Board of Supervisors, Board of Adjustments, and the zoning commissioner have no. If they go into the and they have to see some of these ordinances being broken, the landowners, even after the course, nothing can be done for them. Are they aware of that? By the way you read this, they won't be able to come to you. They won't be able to go to the Board of Adjustments or the zoning commissioner. Just, so if you're a landowner, I hope you're aware of that when you read this contract. The other is that in the back, this contract is authored by who? Did you guys author this? Were you part of this? If you weren't a part of this, this is a generic contract wrote by big corporations. They take all around the country, a little, what they believe, podunk counties to further agendas with their wind projects. It's sad, but more likely true. Page 8 says waiver of a jury trial. Why is that in there? Because the fear is you will probably win. So when you get to a jury trial, it usually goes for the people, not the corporation. There is, which is very disturbing, suing. I keep hearing suing. Threatening financial ruin if their interpretation are not followed. Borders on extortion by the threat of suing the county because they then we do. That's all I have to say.
Richard. Kathy.
Sorry.
Yes.
Okay. Here, on behalf of the city of Toledo, we support a reasonable settlement for phase 2. And our main goal is to save the taxpayers of Tama County a lot of money. Also, the revenue coming in for the South Tama School District is very large. I have some facts. I'm looking here to look at them. And so that's really where our support is to save us money, the times of litigation. And I'm sorry, it didn't short an attorney there, but they'll be the win. I'm just speaking for our city. All I need is that here, if anyone wants to look at the leisure position here.
Ashley Burton.
All right. First off, I want to apologize because I was not around when all of the wind turbine contracts went into place originally. I relocated back to Tama County about a year and a half ago, where I recently purchased an acreage. I too am north of town. I stand before you with a heavy heart. When I purchased what I believed to be my dream acreage, I had no idea my surrounding landscape was about to change drastically. A wind farm is now being constructed in every direction around me. I have one 1,500 feet from my house. I have 2 more going in on the east. This information was never disclosed during the selling process of the house. Disclosed by the selling agent who just happens to share the same name as the farmer that owns all the adjacent land, who probably well knew about all the contracts going into place. What makes this even more disappointing is knowing that a lot of people from Texas who have no true stake in our land to come in and ruin the landscape we call home. Feels like our voices, our values have been overlooked in favor of outside interests. Thank you.
Doesn't make any difference. Water. Evening, everyone. I'm gonna keep this kind of short. There are the economic impact statements back as well, if anybody needs any information. I've been involved with this for some time and talked to a lot of people. This comes down to, I mean, we can go over all this stuff over and over and people can revisit things. There's many questions that have been asked and answered over and over, but it comes down to the possible lawsuits and the money that the county can use or tend to gain. What we really need to be doing is coming up with a committee and figuring out to use this money to better the county citizens. And unfortunately, misrepresented, misinformation. When it gets proven that it's misinformation, people get upset. A lot of you are friends, neighbors of mine and whatever, and you can think what you want. I don't care. Why should I be upset with you with your opinion? But I don't want to get personally attacked like I have been by some. What's going to be? This comes down to what we need to do for this county. You stand to lose a lot. There are many of us that had advised what was going to happen. This went to court in these lawsuits, and it happened like that. And this could happen again with phase 2. You could vote it down and you're gonna get sued and you're gonna lose. No, I'm sorry, but that's how it is. We've been over this over and over. We need to all work together and figure out how we're going to use these funds to better communities, the county, and people living here. Work together and get along. You can have your opinions and your strong differences. That's fine. There's several of us serve on the fire and stuff. You know, we may have to say, help you out, but we're gonna be there to help. We're all here.
No side comments.
We are all here to help each other, is what I'm telling you. We serve, everybody serves on different
No
things.
side comments. You'll be asked to leave.
Serves on different committees and everything. We're all here to help each other. So y'all need to work together. I'm not threatening anybody. I'm telling you that we may be, have to be saving your lives and stuff. Why would that tell you we're not going to help each other? So don't give me this crap about, oh, it's a threat. I'm here telling you that we're all here to help each other and work together. So enough of this bickering. Come up with something and work together and figure this out. Okay, thank you.
Kyle Warren.
Kyle Warden, I live by Darwin. Excuse me, I get about this here, but this was saying, I'm kind of on the younger side here, most of you guys, not, I'll skip past that anyway. And I've got young children, and with this, with these windmills, we got a lot of tax money coming in. We've got a shrinking county. You can look at the census every year. This is not my forte. Going down, so that means less money for these schools. And I think that's pretty big importance. If you look at towns, what happens when a school leaves, it's not a good deal. Home values drop, everything. And also a young farmer, we need to diversify in what we do. I'm not, I don't have a lot of capital like a lot of you guys have been around for a long time. So, this is a good way for me to diversify my family. And I just think that needs to be, thought of as well. I think someone mentioned land values going down. I would disagree with that. I think if you look at land that has been sold, it's actually only appreciated the value of the land. And I won't get into, everyone's already hit on that for the lawsuits. I mean, I think that's pretty frivolous. I don't think we need to waste any more taxpayer money. So, yeah, I mean, that's just my point there. So thank you.
Thank you.
Up to work. Oh, what, you got up to the one first?
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Talking about this.
No, yeah, we got it done. You good?
I'm not done. I did. Cloutier, I didn't prepare a speech because I didn't. Okay. I live north of Cloutier. I'm a farmer, I'm an electrician, I'm also a construction worker. I had contract with the other company and, I don't have that anymore for other reasons, you know. And, I guess, the contract that Scott was talking about or whatever, you don't have to worry about that. They paid us up to $750 to take it to a lawyer and have it perused by them, and my lawyer said it's fine. So we can look out for ourselves on that part. Don't worry about the landowners. We're fine. We know what we're doing. As far as the windmills or wind towers, it's the new thing. It's the 21st century. I mean, we need electricity. We need the money. The county needs the money. The schools, we need the money. Fire department. Look at Iowa County. Drive down Iowa County sometime. Our roads are better shape than ours. The fire departments, I got friends down there, and they got new fire trucks, four-wheelers, everything. Our county's better than ours. We got one of the worst in county. Like I said, I signed a contract myself because I had to take out a loan to buy the farm, to keep it in the family, and I was looking out for my son, and it was just a good thing for me. You know, I needed, it was a good fallback, you know. And the way the corn prices are now, I wish I had. And with the ethanol, everybody's gonna be driving electric cars in 30 years. You'll laugh at me for saying that, but 30 years, we won't see very many regular cars. They'll be electric. What are we gonna do? We won't have no ethanol plants because there won't be no demand for it. So the new thing is electricity. So we need to farm wind. You know, that's farming's a business. Nobody thinks that. Farming is a business. And that's a new part of farming is wind. So I feel sorry for the acreage owners, but you guys, I mean, technically you moved in the middle of a farmer's business. You can't buy a place next to railroad tracks and complain that the trains are coming through at night and making noise. You can't buy a house next to John Deere, Waterloo, and then complain that they're making noise all night long or creating dust or something. I mean, it's just life. It's just the way it is. I mean, farmers got to do their thing. Farmers they got to make money. They can't make money, they're going to lose their farms. And this is a good solution and it benefits everybody in the county. Keeps our taxes down. Personally, my property taxes have gone up a lot in the last 4 years. And this is, I mean, I'm getting to where I don't know if I can afford to pay property tax anymore. And this is, you know, this is going to help. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
There are a few shares in the front. If anybody would like to sit. Or what did I say? There's four. I apologize. Up next to be Craig. Craig, did you just make us like? Yeah, you did that. How about that, Craig? I wouldn't do this. You can double.
Okay, I think I'm ready. I just wanted to, I'm not gonna say a lot about the past here, it's fine, whatever. I would like to address this board. You guys have the, what do I want to call it? The fortunate advantage of hindsight right now. We have a functioning wind farm at Vienna Township by Blackbrook that just gets rid of all of TCAT's false claims. You buy the permits for salt. I urge you to approve these permits, keep us out of lawsuits, and keep us moving forward for the betterment of the county, betterment of the taxpayers, and the betterment of the landowners. That's all I got for now.
Good. How we doing on our list back there? Anybody else signed up? We need it.
Oh.
These two. Andrew, did you speak up on me? Barb? Jeff Schroeder.
That worked out. Yes, they were right there. I was like, right here. All right. I work for the town. Listening to everyone public speak at the things, and I agree. This needs to stop. We need to quit wasting fight these people. Because I grew up in a town of 142 windmills. And we do not sit and bicker like this every. The tax money is excellent. And like Bob said, the fire department, the police, the tax money, just the profit from the windmills that come out of Hancock County go to every small town. Everybody says small town. Yes. I grew up in a town of like the size of Toledo. We have 2 ladder trucks because there are windmills. Everybody complains that, oh, what happens if these malfunction or anything like that? That's not the board. That's the windmill company's problem. They will fix it. They will take care of this county. Yes. They are ugly. But so are grain bins. I grew up building grain and everything. Yes, they can be ugly. But that's that farmer's prerogative to have on his property. And if windmill is a property, that is the landowner's prerogative. And everybody says, well, what about the roads? What about this? What about that? Finish building and see what they do when they're done. The roads will be a lot better. All the extra driveways that you see will be taken care of. The farmer gets paid for everything. I had a customer of ours that the windmill didn't put their driveway in right. They tore the whole driveway up and fixed it so the cultivator could fit between the fence rows. They'll take care of Tama County.
Bowling and bonds. Is that right?
So my name is Cole Langeboff. I live over by Garwin. And my family, we personally have 5 wind turbines, and I live within 7 of them. And they're building more on the side. And window companies honestly treating us really good. And I'm honestly thankful. I'm not getting emotional about this, but on our operation, it's allowed my brother to be able to come and work with us full time as well as my dad. So I guess I'm blessed that they did come in because they gave me the opportunity to be able to work with my dad and brother every day. And if it wasn't for that income, my brother, maybe I'll doing something else, just coming back on the weekends. So we see farm shrinking over time as, older farmers get older and there's fewer guys coming in. I guess my concern is our arms just eventually just going to be these massive things where next generation can't get in because it's so big. So I guess for me, they've been a massive help to our operation, and we've enjoyed every contract we've ever had with any of them. And we have to vote, we got old ones and the new ones. Thank you, Mr. Director.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. My name is John Kane and I'm this. I guess I would start with saying change is hard. And this is change. But change can be beautiful. And the other thing about change, it's inevitable. As I in front of you, I'm sure many of you are farmers, and I grew up on a farm in the 80s. I remember my dad being disgusted with hog confinements for animals in the early 80s. He really struggled with that. There's a lot of complaints about that because of the smell. It was much different than traditional hog farming. But that was change. And what he had to learn was it was inevitable. And I think our windmills fall under the same line. So that's one point I wanted to make. The other point is I stand in front of you today representing the community and the students of North and South Tama. And the second phase of this does stand to bring in a considerable amount of dollars to the county. Those dollars will benefit everybody. I know that's hard to see right now, but they're going to benefit our students. And if you know about state funding is getting tighter and tighter, and it is based on your student population, and it's based on your county tax assessment values. This project does have the opportunity, although it's changed, does have the opportunity to do an awful lot for our students. So throughout this process, just keep that in mind. Thank you.
Cantor?
Hi, everyone. I'm Catherine Allendek, the Toledo Economic Development Director. That's a bit of a change along the way here. I just came from the Tama Toledo Chamber meeting about an hour ago where they signed the following letter. So I'm going to read this letter from the chamber. Dear Board of Supervisors, it is the mission of the Tama Toledo Chamber of Commerce to cultivate a diverse and vibrant business climate for the communities we represent. Through our efforts to facilitate programming and events, we draw visitors and increase local spending, strengthening Tama and Toledo. We foster local prosperity and improve the lives of residents by advocating for businesses' interests. Our efforts include support of the South Tama School District. Our district faces many challenges like other schools, too many needs and not enough funding. We believe there is a direct correlation between a strong local school system and a happy, healthy, and vibrant community. Quality of life is important, and at the core is our schools. The wind projects in Tama County, both phases 1 and 2, play an important role in the future growth and prosperity of the county, for the local school district, and businesses. The current project is having a positive impact locally in the form of increased spending and hotel motel tax. The short-term impacts are valuable. The long-term impact will serve students for decades. The Tama Toledo Chamber strongly encourages you to accept a settlement and allow both phase 1 and phase 2 of Salt Creek Wind projects to move forward.
Ransom?
Thank you, everybody. My name is Brian Stolfel, Mayor of City of Toledo, and also Vice President of the Chamber of Commerce. And maybe a little different perspective. Also a farmer, not too far from the area of the phase 2 area. So see both sides of the issue, but wanted to really talk on Council member Cook mentioned that earlier in the resolution the city of Toledo passed. And on one sense, we're looking at it on the side of the fiscal responsibility. And as the mayor of Toledo, being a steward of public money and finances is very important. And in this issue, it just seems like the ongoing litigation does not make sense from the county funds perspective. Just wanted to reiterate the support of the resolution that the city passed for the city of Toledo on behalf of the school district and the Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you. We're circling back to the top of the list so now we're Keith's Edge, or if you don't want to go, this is good.
Nancy Uska, Buckingham Township, and current chair of the Board of Adjustment. It has been stated you are now excluding the Salt Creek Wind Phase 2 project from the January 2025 moratorium because you can't change the rules in the middle of the game, meaning that Phase 2 CUP would be reviewed under the same county CREX ordinance as the Phase 1 project that is now constructed. I believe it could be argued that the Board of Supervisors are now changing the rules in the middle of a game by suggesting that you can use home rule, referencing your police powers to circumvent the process of Board of Adjustment review of CUP applications. I've learned that this police power reference is from the local control granted by the legislature to local governments in the 1960s, which permitted local governments to adopt ordinances for their jurisdictions and is known as home rule. Home rule gave the Board of Supervisors the power to adopt ordinances, but not the power to arbitrarily ignore them. The Board of Supervisors may not replace the authority of the Board of Adjustment to decide a CUP. Under Iowa law, that power is specifically granted to the Board of Adjustment and must operate independently to ensure decisions are made based on zoning criteria rather than other outside influences. The Board of Supervisors' authority over the Board of Adjustment is limited and does not grant the power to make the final determination on a conditional use permit. The Iowa legislature and the Tama County ordinance requires a detailed review of the CUP application first by the zoning administrator and then full consideration by the Board of Adjustment at a public hearing inviting comments from Tama County citizens. There is nothing under Iowa law that says the Board of Supervisors may exercise its police powers and ignore these requirements by eliminating the review process of the CUP application and simply execute a development agreement with Salt Creek Wind to approve Phase 2. In Iowa, an appeal of the Board of Adjustment decision is made directly to the district court, not to the Board of Supervisors, which further reinforces the separation of authority. In my opinion, you would be setting a terrible precedent by signing this development agreement, which may come back to haunt this county for years to come. With all due respect, I ask that you please consider my comments and stance on this situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Jim Smith.
Yeah. Oh, I'm good.
Anita.
Let's see. I'm Jim Smith, lifetime member or resident of Tama County. I know most of the people in here from one time or another. And I guess I'm not in favor of change. I'm old. I don't like change. But it looks to me like we've traded in those little blue porta pots along the highways we used to see going north of Toledo. We traded those in for wind turbines. And there's gonna be a lot of grain bins go up too. We talked about grain bins not looking so well.
is all these seed corn growers for Corteva are getting replaced by seed corn growers out of county. Benton County and Marshall County especially, because they don't have wind turbines. Because if you have wind turbines, you can't crop dust their place. And if the seed corn growing moves out of Tama County, I'm afraid that's gonna lower a lot of the land prices for these farmers, because a lot of that, everybody knows that if you can raise seed corn on your ground, it's worth more money, because it's a valuable revenue, but that's all disappearing. So, I don't know. I guess that's about it. Oh, and then another thing is, oh, yeah, I didn't write this down, but, I don't know if there's any Corteva employees here, but, they can't talk. I was told by Corteva manager that they can't say anything for or against wind turbines or green energy. But, we've lost a lot of seed corn growers already. And if, Salt Creek 2 goes in, there'll be a lot more gone next year. Thank you.
Linda Moore. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Then Richard, you're next, okay? I skipped you, but Richard, you'll be next. Do you want to go first, Rich? I guess that's what you're
I
here.
don't want any fights.
I'm Linda Mueller, aloha. The farm life has been,
Hello, or goodbye.
well, some of both, okay, I'll start my cough over. The farm life has been our family's way of life through generations, my grandparents, parents, husband's family, his parents and grandparents, our children, and now our grandchildren are starting to show an appreciation for the farm life. And so I have a keen interest in protecting agricultural land, ours and that of the county. This proposed agreement is in conflict in many ways with what has been in place in Tama County ordinance. It's my understanding that there's been nothing in Tama County permitted for Salt Creek Wind 2. They had applied for a conditional use permit last December before the current has yet to be reviewed by the county's Board of Adjustment. And since there has been no further requests made other than this agreement, I'm requesting that our Board of Supervisors vote no on the proposed agreement and work through the Board of Adjustment. Currently state, which is also in codes 331.10 and 331.15. On page 2 of the settlement agreement, 2B, it states that the Board of Supervisors acknowledges that it is tasked with enforcing Tama County's ordinances. Yes, so true. But the statements in this agreement seem to circumvent the law. And for example, on page 2C, page 3, 2F concerning who is to make sure that the ordinances are followed. Iowa Code 335.9 states that this person should be the zoning administrator. As far as it's like a lot of money, but when the weekly claims for county expenses have been over $1 million in 1 week, over 900,000 in 1 week, that 1.2 million is not going to go very far. So is this board going to turn your backs on the majority of the county residences here and around the county and take a bribe by the wind company? Is this the good outcome that was promised when running for the board of supervisors? You faced a very difficult challenge to balance the budget as well as other decisions. But the wording in the agreement wants to move forward regardless of whether they are following the law. Our ordinances are the laws for Tama County. Couple articles mentioned that the wind company proceeded anyway, or a stunning lack regard for our laws and the wind industry threats and suit. An article that I had read. Closing comment is a quote. In light of what happened just yesterday, I'd like to read a quote attributed to Charlie Kirk, who lived his life committed to truth. If you believe in something, you need to have the courage to fight for those ideas, not run away from them or try to silence them. Thank you.
I didn't hear my name, but I assume I was yeah, Richard Utter. I will be addressing this meeting was to address you guys. And yeah, can I ask a couple questions concerning what's in the or the agreement?
You can, only for everyone to answer your questions.
Okay, number two, in defense of Salt Creek Wind 2, Tama County will cooperate in good faith. Does that mean that Tama County pays the lawyer and court costs of any suits?
That's a good question. We'll get clarification. That is something that we've been talking about.
And then also in the agreement, it says that ADOs, the lights for the towers will be required in this settlement. Is that correct?
They're going to be required to, they would be required under current ordinance, which one of course, but the ordinance that we've come up with, they have agreed to apply to the FAA and FAA gives them the permits within GALS, aircraft detection lighting system.
Okay, I mean, I read that in there and I didn't know for sure if it was being required before this was approved or not. This meeting tonight should help you decide whether what you are proposing is according to Tama County ordinances. I'm not speaking for or against the wind towers. What I'm saying is the ordinances in Tama County need to be followed. I've looked up the state code and that says that you supervisors cannot change the ordinances. If you pass this, you will be going against state code. Also, Salt Creek Wind 2 has not finished cuts. They need to go in front of the Board of Adjustment to finish that process. And without doing that, you guys can't override that process. Please, Salt Creek Wind 2, follow the process that phase 1 did. Phase 1, I have my personal opinions about it. They did follow the code and ordinances. They did do everything correctly. And what I'm asking you guys is to vote against this proposal to allow Salt Creek Wind 2 to do the same thing.
Richard, let me just ask you a question back. What did one do that two hasn't done yet? It was illegal.
They got their cut from the Board of Adjustment,
I just mean in the process, everything was done due.
as far as I know. Thank you.
Doug?
Zoning committee person, zoning commission member, got corrected last night. Liberty and justice for all. When I read through the settlement agreement, what we're supposed to be talking about tonight, I don't see any justice for the Tama County landowners. I don't see any justice for Tama County supervisors. Everything is against us. Who are you representing? People of Tama County or the big wind turbine? Change was mentioned earlier. I remember it was a great idea to plant multi-floor rows for a natural fence. How did that work out? We got to do that on our ground. And there's been a lot of, discussion about all the money the county is gonna get, schools gonna get, the towns are gonna get. If you're so in love with them, why can't they put the turbines in town? Wouldn't that be great? Everybody
Yeah.
else have to. Yeah, listen to them.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Now, before you get your hopes up on this money for the schools, the first year, property values are assessed at 0 on these wind turbine acquisitions. The net worth is 0. Thank you, Steve. And the next 5 years, it goes up 5% per year. So you're waiting 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. It caps out at 30 and 7 years. All right. And what's been a history in the past is that at that point, the company will sell it to somebody else so they can start over at 0% again. So don't think this is such a great thing for the county, for the schools and the taxpayers. It's deceiving. Just like this agreement is. I said earlier in the week, it's an ultimatum. It's not an agreement. Kurt, you're self-employed person in the county. I'm a self-employed person. We don't do business like this. It's like holding the club over here and saying, sign this or else. I'd like to end with 3 suggestions for you folks. Vote no. Draft a new one back to the drawing board. And the third one is get Heather on that negotiating team. She is the heart and soul of this county. Negotiating team are not from Tama County originally, nothing against you personal, but she has vested interest in this county. So do the other 2 members, the other 2 Kurts. Give her a chance to negotiate. I don't see much value in what you guys accomplished for Tama County in this settlement. Thank you for giving me time.
Okay. Jody Gold.
Name is Jody Bolt. Address is Gladbrook. I live in Spring Creek Township. Acreage for 53 years. It's direct Board of Supervisors. As far as we're supposed to be talking about Creek 2 and your settlement agreement, they have not complied with the ordinances of Tama County. They have not issued a model number and everything that was supposed to be in the cup. It still has not been listed. Hang on a second, my notes are all jumbled. There is, that is part 2, paragraph C. Now, this paragraph has been applied, or the cup has been applied for on that date in December, but has not been approved by the Board of Adjustment. They have not. The approval for the without a model number, it doesn't give the ground clearance. That ordinance is not fulfilled. Electrical codes and standards, that's not fulfilled. And the sub requirement states the name, model, capacity, height, rotor diameter, height of all turbines. None of that has been met. In your settlement on page 7, part F, states Salt Creek 2 has not met all requirements, or has met according to wind tower people and met all the ordinance requirements. I would request the Board of Supervisors take their time, use due diligence in approving the settlement one way or another. Thank you.
Use the microphone.
Yeah.
So I also am one of the older people that know just about everybody in here. When I heard about the turbine stuff coming in, 4 years ago. That's after the 2016 project that was started and then dropped for a little while. This one kind of came in 2020. I had no idea it was gonna be in my backyard, so following the DuPont. It's an amazing thing. I don't know that this is a project. They have no clue. Clueless. I stopped at a place on my way here. 3 people sitting there knew nothing about this. There is a nitty money tree, and every action has a consequence. Monday, many speakers said that the turbine heights had not been disclosed. There were no model numbers, and that the turbines were homes. That was Monday morning. Another person spoke about the golden rule: treat people as you want to be treated, not as we are treated or we're treated in our lifetime. I was raised that way. That's how Dad taught us, and so I believe in that. Big tech wants our land, but they don't want to do the hard labor to get it. They just want to move in here and take over without a shot being fired. And they found a way to do that. This was such a great thing, and why are there gag orders all over this room? And I mean all over this room. We're gonna put up with this for the rest of our lives. It's gonna keep going over the county. It's not just gonna stop at phase 1, phase 2. We need to have the Board of Adjustment in on this. We need to follow that law. We are fully understand. In January, Bob Oakley told the supervisors that he needed guidance on how to move forward on phase project for 60 turbines, 60. Now we're talking almost 100. How did that happen? And when did that happen? Talking about driveway cuts and culverts, but for 60. I have an article sitting here that talks about there being a big company that is in lawsuits and financial problems over this country. If that's true, how can we be counting money that's going to be coming in on this about worth the price of this piece of paper? They're going to be gone. We're not going to be able to touch them or find them or call them. Yeah, they look good now. And they had made a lot of promises to several people in this room, and several people in this room also said, no, thank you. Or they tried to get back out of it and said, I would like to get out of it, but they have to be careful what they said, because they had gag orders so they wouldn't get sued. We've been talking about lawsuits, sued by the company. I hope you guys will do the right thing and reconsider this a little bit longer. Thank you.
With, Herbert.
Evening, Kurt Burns, spoken a few times over the past years. In this room, I would challenge anybody on spending more time researching this project, these projects, other than if there's people who really work building them or something. But I've spent since 2009 doing research, and I don't mean Googling stuff on the internet or people's Facebook pages. I mean going, talking to engineers, going to Iowa State University, spending time over there, traveling to northern Iowa where there've been turbines spinning around for years, talking to farmers up there. And I was involved from day one when there was first meeting held out at the casino. Okay. And I'm up here tonight to talk about a lot of misinformation that has been spoken in the past few meetings. Okay. And I want to do some corrections because there's been a lot of stuff is either they'll just play live or they're getting their information from somewhere unreputable. First of all, one of the things that was talked about is how solar and wind renewable energies are so much more expensive than fossil fuels. No, that's not right. A lot. There's an investment banking group and global companies every year put out a sheet analysis of energy produced across the country. And I'm sorry for people that are Kansas, but Win ranks number 2. That's the cheapest. Okay. $41 per megawatt hour. If you want to compare that to nuclear, I've heard people bring nuclear, that costs $155 per hour. Gas, $175, coal, $109. Those are facts. Talked a lot about is the cut ordinances, the cut permits, CUPs. Is my understanding, the board, that Salt Creek 2 on December 20th of 2024. If we're gonna follow ordinance. This is 10 months later, 9 months later, 10 months later. Still haven't been acted upon. So, people were talking about following the ordinances. But that hasn't been followed. I believe elected officials need to make this decision. This is way too big a decision. There are provisions provided in Iowa code, and it's actually your own attorney said that Monday, that it's more common for the board to make this decision, not appointed committees. Okay. The model number issue. The reason these companies don't provide a model number has to do with the timing of it. Submit that they're going to use this model now. And the project doesn't start for 2 years or a year before they actually start putting them up. Progress. These things are improving all the time. They get more and more efficient. If they had to provide a model number and stick to it now for something they're going to build a year from now, it could be, antiquated. It's moving that fast. The efficiency. We had a few more points. There were a lot more other people here that I talked to today. They're in support of these, my neighbors, friends, but they have better things to do, like going to kids' ball games, cooking for football teams, Lions Club meetings. And so we do have a fair amount of people here, but there would be even more here if it wasn't for them actually living their life. Thank you.
Andrea, if we're on. Yep. Andrea and Laura, is that the last one we have? No, then.
Unless anybody else is on it.
Yep, if there's anybody else in the side, still like to speak, we are going to give it an opportunity for Salt Creek Wind's attorney to come up with. She has also taken note of some things that have been misrepresented as far as if they would like to clear whatever the questions are. They would like to have an opportunity to address as well.
Okay, first of all, is this an official meeting, public hearing, or is it a forum? Can you explain?
The difference between a hearing and a forum is the
Are you okay with this, first date of the public hearing that we had while you were gone? When you were in Hawaii,
okay, so
I was just surprised that you were okay with that first one being actually gone.
okay.
Hold the mic closer.
Let me address what is supposed to be addressed here. 2, it does say that you are tasked with enforcing the county codes. That's good. And there shouldn't be a problem if the codes are enforced. I'm wondering why under C, 2010 is crossed out. Because it appears on page 1, so it probably should appear on page 2. And by the way, this is my main. Let's go back to page 1, bottom of the page. Legal representation. In this, it says that you are entering into this agreement knowing. So it's you and David are entering into this knowing. I would like for the rest of your board to get
all the information, including who it is that is in the room with you, who the actual owners are, who is negotiating with you. I think it only fair that you all have equal opportunity for that knowledge. And it also says voluntarily. Well, let me read you the definition of voluntarily. And I Googled it. It's done willingly, intentionally, and by one's free choice. A voluntary act that is conscious, deliberate, without external coercion, compulsion, or undue influence. The absence of a coercion is that the act must not be the result of force, threat, intimidation, or fraud. Mark, you at the board meeting have said more than once, you are under threat of lawsuit. And I believe David confirmed it this morning on the news. So in all intents and purposes, this needs to be cleaned up. Thank you.
I have a lot, so I'm gonna talk fast. Apologize if, that's on my principal. Laura Wilson, I am a resident of Tama County and the current Tama County zoning administrator. I strongly believe that the county as a whole and this group going to enforce laws. Why does our county even have that? If we disregard our ordinances for this project and bypass the ordinance specified process for applications and appeals, how can we hope to enforce any of our other ordinances in this county? And how to have citizens volunteer their time for zoning adjustment? I've emailed you the multiple areas where the applications fail to meet our ordinance submission requirements. This settlement, it says that they are meeting all of the existing ordinances, and that is not a true statement that you should be signing. Even one area of the requirements that is not met could result in a denial of the permit, and this application has multiple deficiencies. I would sincerely hope that if this went before a judge, that they would support the county in requiring an adherence to our laws. The wind ordinance was created in 2010. The conditional use permit, Board of Adjustment process, and zoning administrator duties for enforcement have been in the main zoning ordinance since its adoption in 1998. Between those two sections, the Board of Adjustment was given the authority to review and decide conditional use permit applications regarding wind energy conversion systems, or WECs. The two counties that Mr. Epdegraff referenced as ones that supervisors review and grant those permits for had gone through the ordinance revision process to grant those powers to the supervisors. Other counties that state that supervisors have that power to grant CUPs are ones that do not have a Board of Adjustment. And all other counties that I have reviewed so far, where the county has a BOA and a WEX ordinance, they have granted that reviewing power to the Board of Adjustment. When I met with Salt Creek in July to review the application with them, they indicated that they were intending to advance the CUP application on a specified legal process. In that meeting, I provided the representatives of my concerns with the sections of the application that were not currently meeting requirements and advised them to remedy those issues before attempting to set up a meeting date with the BOA. Instead of following our ordinance submission requirements, negotiations began with some of our supervisors to reach the document that has been in question this week, and no revised or additional documents have been submitted to my knowledge. Aside from the settlement bypassing the normal process of CUP application review, there are many other areas that I do not beneficial to the county. In a situation like this, attempting to bypass ordinance requirements should be non-negotiable. County does not need this project, and we should not make those concessions that could give other major companies a blueprint for future dealings with our county, which seems to be to threaten a lawsuit, offer a little money in return for being allowed to do whatever they want in a development agreement. Mr. Gillen has stated multiple times that the company is to, if we do not approve this, yet I don't understand why their lack of adherence to application requirements would give them any valid argument in this lawsuit. Development agreements like this should be beneficial to both sides. This one appears to be incredibly one-sided.
Yeah, unless anybody else Anybody else we missed that'd like to speak?
And that distance firm, I wondered that I like find paragraphs.
Here, but they had a whole page.
No, I have like a paragraph and a half.
Good.
Okay. Usually are identical in 8 sections of the resolution, and neither one mentions at all that there supports allowance to distance and procedural process of this county. It is apparent that whoever presented the situation and these resolutions to these two entities failed to mention why there was so much opposition to the settlement itself. It's understandable that these groups would be in favor of a wind project that could lead to additional funding. However, the lack of acknowledgement of the settlement was allowing a bypass of the normal application review process and allowing the applicant to not fulfill required submission materials leads me to believe that they were not given all the facts of the settlement situation. And then just to clarify a statement that was made earlier, the governments in our ordinance do not hit that 7-day requirement. That is for standard zoning ordinance permits. The CUP has to go through the meeting setup process as far as clearing dates with all board adjustment, clearing dates with the applicant, and they have not requested a meeting date at this time since I've talked to them in July about their
Somebody who hasn't spoken.
I know that. But I remember back in the COVID days, I'd heard about these wind towers. And it was kind of hush hush, and I thought, what's going on? So much hush hush.
I don't. Stop you, but what's your name?
My name is Pat. Made everything go through. And when I'm listening to this about this contract, it sounds like all about money. Oh, this city's gonna get money, that one's gonna get. Well, if you want the money, you put the towers up by you. I've got them on my side, and I've been here longer than that poor lady said she just on a acre. And I don't want to see towers, but I have to because of my neighbors. And it's not about the money, they're not the kind of people that need it, in my opinion. Whereas, why don't you put out a thing that says maybe something would. I would give something to pay down the lawyer to help you. But doggone it, I don't need the wind towers all over my view. And it takes away, like he said, our land value. Thank you.
Keith, you don't do that? Let me call now. Yeah. Guys, I'm not gonna take up all your time. It's one that's gonna happen to here. You all know where I sense has been else. We got one that I appreciate. I sat with you guys to speak here about several years. I was a supervisor. At the same time, we said we had a project come up in Tama County that was gonna bring in a lot of tax revenue. We had a lot of opposition to this project. I'm just gonna tell you like how that project turned out. Project came back. I think that was a real good job for Tama County. A lot of people wasn't happy when we voted for, but it's been a good project. Thank you for your time.
Like, I live on a main route between Trader and Dizer. Speak tonight, because I really wanted to come and listen to everybody's question for the board here.
And that is why rush to get this settlement done. I would love to hear from Kurt Hillner, Heather Knievel, Kurt Kuka, and David Turner, and you, Mark, on why you are in such a rush to get this done. It seems like you are bypassing so much here. So much work done by the Board of Adjustments and the zoning board to reach this agreement. And I really want to know the truth, why you are doing it. Why are you rushing to get this? I would ask that you please answer that if you could.
I mean, no rush. The first agreement went by. Yeah, we have taken hours, I mean, literally hours we've now been in public to hear the public's view. And so I don't know how we're pushing it through. I think pushing it through is like, we're probably gonna vote on this about a month ago. Without saying, I do have a statement from our attorney that does have concern with that.
Is that Mr. Graham?
Yeah, I don't know that we would want to make it public because it's privileged confidential information. And I don't own the privilege to carry hands. If the board wanted to release it, we could.
I listened to what Mr. Updegraff said online at the public hearing on Monday. And my first, that is his legal opinion. And if you, they all have slightly different opinions of how they interpret the law. So my question for the board is, are you relying on one legal opinion? Do you entertain the thought of getting a secondary opinion?
We retained him. We voted to retain him. He's the opinion that we reached out for so far.
So you don't feel a need to get a second opinion here?
I didn't. The rest of the board could.
So I would be very interested in hearing what the rest of the board of supervisors have to say about this. And I think this is the perfect forum for you to either agree or disagree. Because the impression that I'm getting here, and you tell me if I'm wrong, is that this is a special agreement that's been made between two of the supervisors here. And I would like to know the facts here, please.
So one, this is a public forum for us to get input from the public. So we're not going to give you all of our opinions. That would take a long time. We will. I mean, I think that when we vote on this, we're going to give you our opinions. But as far, what was your other question?
Just that I would like to know each of your individual opinions on this agreement. The other comment that I stated is I'm getting the impression that this was a cooked up agreement between supervisors.
Between the two of us. So our board, we had 3 votes to appoint David and I as the negotiators. So we had the majority vote. That's how we negotiated the agreement.
Did you not think that the most important person that is doing research on these turbines for the last 5 years should not be a part of that?
Good.
Sorry, I'm just asking questions, people, and I think they need to answer.
Wouldn't that agree with it?
Should we speed this up now? Doors open. Doors down.
What's that? Do you want to speak? The guy in the right there?
I'll see you Monday.
Okay.
Doc, are you ready?
Good.
Just want to, if the application is claiming that they are adhering to the ordinances, how are they expected to be any different after the settlement is signed? The wording of this makes it seem like they are offering 1.2 million with their own conditions in return for being allowed to get away with any ordinance violation they want if they just stated in a document. I strongly recommend that you vote against this agreement and send the application to Board of Adjustment. Thank you.
Good name.
Jackie Snyder.
Thanks, Chad.
Okay. What's that?
Anybody else that has not spoken?
I think we're gonna shut up.
Doc needs to finish his paragraph. She got two, he should get two.
All right.
Warmed up. I was going to allow him to come up anyway,
Thank you.
but because of it, the people who haven't spoken yet, so if you wanna come on up.
Yeah, so I just wanted to correct, there was two more things that I wanted to get to correct, and one was about how the property taxes are paid into the county. If you would refer the economic impact analysis for Salt Creek Wind Project, if you, do you guys have these?
Yeah.
But if you look at table 6 and 7, it goes through all that, and the information that was spoken about earlier about the way that's paid is incorrect. It's correct here on the impact study. Secondly, I want to make some corrections when it regards to Corteva. I personally have grown seed corn for them with my father and grandfather for over 50 years, signed many contracts with them. They were perfectly fine with wind turbines in their fields. I haven't had them for 3 years because we kept thinking we were going to be building wind turbines, but they kept getting delayed and delayed and delayed. As soon as they're built and everything's put back, they will go ahead and we can go back to growing seed corn again if we so choose. They almost already do not use airplanes to spray seed corn anymore. It's almost all ground or drone. And for commercial corn, I would guess that within the next 4 to 5 years, you won't see an airplane flying even over commercial corn. It's all going to be done with drones. And they won't even have to turn the turbines off. If they do use planes, it's in our contract. They will turn the turbine off, spin it to go with the rows, so then the planes can fly without hitting one of the planes. So that's fact. Signed the contracts with Corteva, and and that's what they've said when I spoke to them. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. The attorney of the prisoners.
All right, my name is Kelly Orton and I'm an attorney with the Brown Law Firm and I represent Salt Creek Wind 2 LLC. Thank you for your time this evening and also thank you for your time Monday morning as well. The Salt Creek Wind 2 project has been in development in Tama County for several years. The project consists of a 100 megawatt wind energy generation facility in Tama County. The project will include up to 27 wind turbines and related infrastructure, including access roads, meteorological stations, a project or collector substation and collection lines to transport the electricity generated from the turbines to the project substation. The project will connect to the grid at the Toledo 161 kilovolt substation owned by ITC Midwest. Salt Creek Wind 2 LLC has obtained voluntary lease option or purchase option agreements for more than 9,700 acres in Tama, but the actual land used for the project will be a fraction of this acreage. Many considerations went into selecting Tama County for this project and the project site specifically. Project developers evaluated many factors, including but not limited to the topography of the site, wind resources, available turbine technology, and Tama County setbacks when determining the proposed site layout, as well as turbine spacing and environmental, aviation, sound, shadow flicker, and subterranean constraints. Salt Creek Wind 2 submitted its application for a conditional use permit in December 2024 based on the wind ordinance in place at the time, originally passed in 2010. Notably, the application was submitted before the Board of Supervisors passed the resolution imposing a moratorium on the wind energy conversion systems on January 6, 2025. On Monday, I went through the ordinance and explained how the project meets or exceeds all the requirements of the existing ordinance. Today, I'd like to go through some common misconceptions that you guys have heard both Monday and today. The first misconception I'd like to talk about is the fact that the project will not benefit Tama County. Salt Creek Wind 2 will specifically benefit Tama County. It's expected to generate more than $32 million in the lifetime in tax revenue, and Tama County will receive an additional $1.2 million directly from Salt Creek Wind 2 as part of the proposed development agreement. Salt Creek Wind 1 and 2 phases combined are expected to generate approximately $80 million in tax revenue over the lifetime of both projects, nearly $22 million going to the South Tama Community School District. The capital investment in wind turbines will also allow the South Tama Community School District material additional bonding capacity for future growth. The next misconception I'd like to address is that the roads in Tama County do not accommodate the wind turbines. Salt Creek Wind 2 will enter into a much more restrictive road use agreement than the one that Salt Creek Wind 1 is currently operating under. This is due to the aggressive negotiating of the Tama County Board of Supervisors negotiation team. As part of that agreement, Salt Creek Wind 2 may, at its own expense, make improvements to haul roads needed to accommodate hauling. Salt Creek Wind 2 also agrees to make any repairs needed to fix damage caused by the construction of the project on both paved and unpaved roads and provide financial assurance for such repairs in advance of hauling operations. The next misconception I'd like to address is that landowner lease agreements are gag orders preventing landowners from speaking publicly about the project. The lease agreements do have language to keep proprietary business information confidential. Confidentiality provisions do not stop landowners from speaking about the project generally or speaking about publicly available or previously known information. Additionally, Salt Creek Wind 2 ensured that all landowners reviewed the easement with an attorney prior to signing. The next misconception I'd like to address is that landowners cannot build on their property if they have a wind turbine. Landowners are free to install underground drainage systems as long as they do not interfere with the wind facilities, including buried cables or access to the wind facilities. Landowners can build common farm and residential structures on their property, but may need to site them away from the turbines, limit their height, or obtain approval from the project owner before construction. The next misconception is that landowners or Tama County will be liable for the cost if the project owner goes bankrupt. Project owner is responsible for costs associated with the project, including property taxes. The decommissioning agreement would require the project owner, not a public utility, to provide financial assurance equivalent to 150% of the total estimated costs of decommissioning. A functioning wind farm will not be abandoned if the owner goes bankrupt any more than a farm ground would be abandoned if a farmer were to go bankrupt. The next misconception I'd like to address is that the project will send its electricity out of state. The Mid-Continent Independent System Operator, or MISO, is responsible for operating the electric grid in the central United States, including almost all of Iowa. In general, electricity, once generated, flows where it's needed on the grid. So depending on the amount of wind power produced and the local need, wind energy produced in Tama County may first be used in and around Tama County, and then the excess may flow where there's demand and need to balance the load. Some have said that Iowa has plenty of electricity and we don't need any more wind turbines. Demand for electricity in Iowa and across the nation is increasing, in part due to the growth of high demand industries like data centers. Iowa utilities are making significant energy investments to address increased load growth. Wind projects are key to meeting this rapidly increasing demand as they can be built and become operational faster than fossil fuel generation sources. You've also heard that wind turbines pollute Iowa's farmland. Wind turbine operations use minimal water, produce no air emissions, and generate minimal waste. Wind turbines also have a relatively small footprint and are compatible with existing agricultural uses in Tama County. The next misconception I'd like to address is that wind turbines are high maintenance and operate infrequently. Like other mechanical implements, wind turbines require periodic, preventative maintenance and occasional repairs. Project owner will have qualified staff trained to maintain the turbines, allowing the turbines to stay online and maintain a high level of availability to produce energy. Someone said on Monday that the Iowa code says that wind turbines have to be sited a certain distance away from homes. The Iowa code does not establish any setbacks for wind turbines, actually. Setbacks are set at the county level. This project complies with Tama County's requirements and even exceeds the setbacks established by Tama County. Someone said that the public owns the airspace in which wind turbines operate. Landowners generally have a property interest in the airspace above their property to the extent it can be occupied or used in connection with the land. The next misconception is that wind turbines pose a fire risk and cleaning up damage will fall on the landowner. Wind turbine fires are rare, and the unlikely event that a wind turbine catches fire or is damaged, project owner is 100% responsible for any damage caused by the fire or cleanup required as a result. The next misconception is that the decommissioning plan does not protect Tama County. Salt Creek Wind 2 will enter into a more stringent and protective decommissioning agreement with Tama County than required by Tama County's ordinance to ensure that the project owner bears the cost of the project and Tama County and its residents are protected. The decommissioning agreement would require that the project owner provide financial security to Tama County in the amount of 150% of the total estimated cost of decommissioning the wind turbines, according to the decommissioning plan. The decommissioning costs will be prepared by a qualified professional engineer at the project owner's expense and be updated every 3 years after the project begins operation. This is separate from and in addition to the development agreement requiring the property owner to pay $2 million directly to Tama County, property taxes collected according to Tama County's special valuation ordinance for wind turbines, and the road use agreement requiring the project owner to provide financial assurance to repair roads damaged by the project. The next misconception is that the project does not comply with the ordinance because the turbine model has not yet been selected. There are many factors that go into selecting a turbine model, including specifics of the site, availability, market considerations, and more. Salt Creek Wind 2 provided a list of possible models with the application, and per the proposed development agreement, will confirm the specific turbine model at least 60 days prior to construction. Neither Iowa law nor Tama County's ordinance require that a specific turbine model be selected at the time of the application, rather that the type of turbine be provided. Consistent with Iowa recent district court opinion in Salt Creek Wind LLC versus Tama County Board of Supervisors, and the Supreme Court's decision in Mathis versus Palo Alto County Board of Supervisors, whatever model selected will be in compliance with Tama County requirements. Compliance is an ongoing obligation on the project owner. The next misconception is that landowners will end up paying taxes for the project. Wind turbines are not subject to typical property taxes in Tama County. Tama County taxes wind turbines according to its ordinance providing for the special valuation of wind energy conversion property under Iowa Code Section 427B.26. These taxes are assessed to the project owner and not the landowner, and they will not restart if the project is sold. If Tama County repealed its special valuation ordinance, the project owner would pay a utility replacement tax based on the generation of electricity at the project rather than property taxes. The landowner would not be responsible for these taxes or any additional taxes as a result of having a wind turbine on their property. The final misconception that I would like to address today is that the project is not required by Iowa rules and regulations to maintain the quality of the topsoil. The Iowa Administrative Code mandates that topsoil compaction must be minimized and topsoil preserved unless infeasible. After final stabilization, the depth of topsoil must be at least 4 inches in areas where this depth existed prior to construction. If less than 4 inches of topsoil existed before, the post-construction depth must be equal to or greater than the original depth. The type of topsoil used must be similar to that which existed in the general area, and exceptions are allowed where the intended function of the site requires compaction or removal of topsoil. Happy to answer any other questions that you have about the project. As I mentioned on Monday, this project will benefit the Tama County. In addition to significant property taxes under the assessment ordinance, the development agreements require Salt Creek Wind 2 to make a $1.2 million agreement once certain conditions are met. Rather than spending money on costly litigation, the development agreement provides an influx of money to the county, allowing the supervisors to use those funds for the betterment of the county. We ask that the county approve the development agreement and bring this to a conclusion. Thank you for your time, and I have a sheet setting out all those misconceptions for each of you.
Thank you. Hey, we could go on all night. No? First of all, we appreciate everybody who does, no matter what your opinion is. Because it's your opinion doesn't mean it's the right one. We're going to take all of the comments that have been made into consideration. It's a development agreement. Some of the things that have been said, we could go on and on. Trying to refute the misinformation. There is, this board has ultimate authority. Yes, we do. We have the ability to do this legally. Regardless of what misquoting 335.7 and 335.9 say. We have the ability to do that. As a matter of fact, we have the ability to do it before the Iowa State Legislature takes the home rule authority away from the county. And that's going to happen if we keep making more stringent rules, not just us, but all over the state. There's going to be a time if we don't put our seal, I guess, on this agreement. But we're still arguing back and forth. One of the things that came up, I sitting in this meeting, when somebody said, it was our state senator said, well, in the case of wind turbines, they don't have to put the soil back the way that they took it out. And so I addressed that with him, and guess what they said? We have to do that. That's in the law. It's part of one of the concessions that we wanted. And so all of the additional concessions on top of what is not in our ordinance, the ADLS, which they've already agreed that they're going to put in. They've agreed to put in the application to the FAA. If the FAA grants it, they'll be able to put in the ADLS. If they, there's a lot of concessions. If you want out of your landowner agreement, if you're a good neighbor agreement, it doesn't affect or impact delay the project, you can get out. If you want back in, you can get in. There's a lot of concessions that came along with the negotiations that David and I had put in with Lincoln. There's a lot of questions that could be answered. It's categorically wrong to say that the Board of Supervisors can't take responsibility and make the decision for what should happen with the county. I do want, it's been asked, I answered, but I did want to put it, there was a new angle that was brought up on this. I think I was copied on an email that Heather sent to our attorney. I think I've answered the Board of Adjustment a few times, so I'll try to say something I haven't said before. The potential lawsuit that we are settling here is a challenge to the moratorium and the decision to apply it retroactively to an existing application. Think about that. What was done before we got into office, we immediately put in a moratorium, January 6th. This was done before we got into office. And so we're still trying to undo that which was there before. And so we're trying to apply a moratorium to an application that was submitted. It wasn't approved and we can agree on that, but it was submitted prior to our moratorium going in. And that becomes troublesome. The application may be deficient and it may not. We don't know the answer to that question because the Board of Supervisors prevented the Board of Adjustment from hearing the case. It seems appropriate to me under home rule amendments that the settlement of that dispute could include the granting of a conditional use permit under the Board of Supervisors' general police powers. Remember, the home rule amendments say that the county has all powers that are not explicitly taken away by the legislature. Anything that is granted by the legislature and not taken away by the state is afforded to the county. Therefore, the fact that everyone keeps saying, I don't see where the statute gives the Board of Supervisors that power, demonstrates that those individuals do not understand how the home rule amendments work. You're looking for a statute that says the Board of Supervisors or a county cannot do such a thing. If such a restriction does not exist and the Constitution does not otherwise bar action, then the Board of Supervisors acting on behalf of the county has the power. Keep in mind, the Board of Adjustment can adjust the local ordinances with conditions. The Board of Adjustment can craft their own remedies related to various issues. For example, the Board of Adjustment can determine that the provisions related to designation, one specific turbine are met with a designation and study of multiple turbines that have the same characteristics. This is important, listen. Substantial components, as opposed to literal and technical compliance, are the standards I would expect a district court to use. Substantial compliance means something less than strict or technical compliance that still effectuates the purpose of the ordinance or statute. It is designated to prevent the law from becoming word games. This leads to the question of what is the purpose of requiring the designation of the wind turbine model. I think the zoning administrator is correct in stating that the purpose is to make sure that the studies are consistent as opposed to cherry picking particular models that test better. The district court is going to ask, why can't the Board of Adjustment create a condition that requires all potential models to be studied and submitted for review? How does that not address your concern? Perhaps there is a good answer to that question, perhaps not. The other part of the discussion is whether a settlement has to wait until the Board of Adjustment rules. If we are only settling a lawsuit related to the potential BOA decision, then that would make a lot of sense. The suit is not right for adjudication. It would be premature to do so without that ruling. However, we're settling a lawsuit claiming the Board of Supervisors interfered with and delayed the Board of Adjustment's decision by retroactively enforcing a moratorium. That suit is ripe for adjudication right now. It is also ripe for settlement. And so the standard, this all boils down to two things. One, you've heard all night long tonight that they have submitted their cup ahead of the moratorium, and it is not meeting the ordinances that are in place. That's because it doesn't, and it's over and over and over again, that is required for federal requirements. You must make mention of the make, model, and height. The nameplate within our ordinance. When we argued this with the Salt Creek 1, we argued it in court, and the judge said that they were substantially in compliance, which is the standard that's going to be used as a reasonable standard. That they're substantially in compliance with what was laid out in our ordinance. The precedent that has now been set, and we voted 5-0 to allow that agreement to go through. And so I think that it's putting us in a bad position. Additionally, by trying to impose a strict interpretation of that ordinance, of that part of the ordinance, when a judge is going to apply substantial. In all cases, we have the opportunity to avoid the litigation. We have the opportunity to get this behind us and to start working on other things. This has dominated 95% of my time in office. I ran, and everybody says, you ran to stop these wind turbines. No, I didn't. I ran to bring mental health services to this county. And if I spend 95% of my time fighting windmills, then I don't have the opportunity. And let me tell you, there's some things that have happened with mental illness in this community where some services could have been helpful in the recent past. And so I think that we don't have to vote on it next week, or we can take as much time as we want. However, we need to come to a decision. Okay? Need to come to a decision, and you have your decision to make. If you guys want to get more information to us, then go ahead. But I think we're not going to sit up and answer all your questions, but if all of the supervisors agree that they want to take a moment to speak to the topic, to the people who are here in attendance, I'm okay with it. So if you want to hear from, but I'm not going to make them talk if they don't want to. If Homer, we'll just start down with him on the end, and then if you want to go down the line, go ahead.
So from my standpoint, the moratorium was done, yes. After that point, I don't recall any time that we stated or put in an email that the conditional use permit cannot be heard. It was kind of that in between road. We were new, we were working on the budget deficit that we came into. So I don't know that there's anything there specifically. And so, that's the one thing, the zoning administrator, there's no reaching out from Salt Creek to say, hey, why are we not having a hearing? What's going on? There's nothing. So I get it, it's been a long time, but nothing was done on both parties' side. I don't know why, if they just wanted to see what Salt Creek one, ended up doing or what was going on there, but I'm a firm believer in following the ordinances. And we have an ordinance. It's from 2010. It's old, it's outdated. I personally don't think it protects the people that live around it. I personally just had, in phase one, I set a turbine that just got put up right next to me, 1,500 foot away. It's close. You're right. I mean, you're gonna hear it, you're gonna see it. It's gonna affect your sunsets. So the people that do live around it, or like in the back, the gal that just moved in and didn't know, I mean, that sucks. To completely just buy a place, spend millions a year, millions or $500,000, however much you spend on your house or property, and then all of a sudden it changes. So that's part of it too. There's things that if it was meeting everything, if the old ordinances could be met in flying colors, there's nothing the Board of Adjustment or the supervisors could do to stop it, right? We have ordinances that should be followed and it needs to be met. I'm a big, like I said, rule follower that it needs to go to the Board of Adjustment. I'm not gonna I'm interested in this stuff and I'm not gonna read the 1,000 pages of this CUP application. And I highly doubt any of these 5 members have read the entire application. If you're gonna live by it, or if you're a landowner, you're gonna wanna know, what does it say, right? What's the sound studies? And if they don't know what turbine height, are they using a 650 foot tall turbine or a 500 foot tall? What does that do to noise? There's just a lot of reasons that, yes, we were elected, but I think the boards that are in place, if we're gonna say, let them follow the old ordinance, I think the old process of the zone or the Board of Adjustment should be followed. And our good zoning commission that put together ordinances, that should be followed too. So that's kind of where I'm at. I get it. There's always going to be lawsuits. There's going to be, things that could come about. Yes, money is good, but to me, it's not everything. It's about following the rules and making sure that we do what's right. We protect everyone, no matter who it is. Even like everybody thinks I'm just anti-wind, but I care about those easement holders. I get if they have a contract, but I do care. I want them to be making sure that they're getting what they thought. The ordinance said this, and maybe some people actually knew the ordinance and they want it to be met. So I have a big heart. I care about everybody, and that's where I'm personally at. And I think we should let it go to the Board of Adjustment. We can always settle later if that's a decision that everybody decides to do. I just don't think we should change the game. I know the prior boards, there's times they tried to do that, and I don't think that's right. I think we should follow the rules, let it go to the Board of Adjustment, they get on the schedule, have that hearing, and then we see if it's, they may accept it, they may accept with conditions, or they may reject it. I don't know. But I don't think we should sit here and take that power away. If we want to change the ordinance for later that we take over wind turbine projects, that's fine. I'm okay with that. I obviously would like a little help, because again, we're supervisors. We're not ones that should be looking at 1,000 pages of these different CUP applications. So that's where I'm at.
Save mine for Monday.
Said he's saving his for Monday.
Oh,
I'm inclined to wait until Monday. I just want to make sure that you understand. I don't like the way they look. Told the wind people that. I don't like the way solar covers too much land. I don't like subsidies. And somebody made a comment on Monday that everything's subsidized, and if we stop the subsidies, we'll understand. That doesn't change my mind. I don't think we should be spending money frivolously. I have a big background. I have a global perspective, and I am not in anybody's pocket and nobody's in mine. So I will make sure that's perfectly clear.
Matter of fact, when we first met, and I'm gonna say both Mark and I, the two people that we negotiated with, we all agreed that if anybody tried, I mean, we even agreed we're not gonna go out to dinner together. None of us, because we don't want any idea that there's an impropriety going on. So in our discussions, and we've had some really good knockdown discussions, there's still a couple more that I want to have, before we vote on this. I'm looking out for Tama County. Somebody made a comment that I haven't lived here that long. I've been going to church here since 2005. I know a lot of you. I worked in the Farm Service Agency. That's how I met most of you. But I've been in this community for 20 years. I moved here after I retired from working for a trucking company. I've got a lot of interest in how well we do things. But I don't want to spend money frivolously. I don't believe going down the path of a lawsuit that we've already got evidence that is not going to be looked at favorably by the judge. And it's not a threat. I'm not taking it as a threat. I understand how law works. I was a cop for 22 years. I understand how the law works, and I understand that if we go to court with a similar process that we just lost, the chance of winning is slim to none, and they both left town. So that's where I'm coming from. I want to protect our county. No other county has negotiated and gotten $1.2 million on top of the fact that they're going to have, don't roll your eyes. Okay, I see that, I see you guys. I understand you don't want the win. I don't like the wind turbines. I don't like it. But from a legal perspective, we're gonna lose. We're gonna lose more money. And we're going to lose the option for the negotiations that we've already met. We're not holding them to what we would like to see. We're holding them to the previous rules, and they've given more. So I think as we move forward, there's a couple more things I want to look at, Mark. You and I've talked about them already. But we're going to make the right decision, a righteous decision, and we promised that we were going to be very transparent. The microphone I'm holding is mine. We're trying to be transparent. So, and we're going to continue to use the microphone that I own so that you guys can hear us and so we can hear you.
I did just want to address I think there was somebody who come up and asked, I didn't quite get, it was Andrea. Is Andrea still here? Was asking something about me scheduling this intentionally while I was gone to Hawaii.
I didn't say you scheduled it.
Okay, so what was your point?
My point was, why was it scheduled in such a, because you obviously have to have your plane tickets and everything for Hawaii months in advance. So I was just confused why it would be scheduled in such a hurry.
So we had already put it in the paper. When we were trying to schedule the meeting, it was supposed to be on the 2nd. Mr. Homer and our attorney could make it on the 2nd. And honestly, I didn't check with my wife.
Okay.
Before I scheduled it, and it was already in the newspaper. And so, I'm guilty of that. I have a lot of things going on, and so my schedule is usually left up to my wife. And she was in Portland, Oregon at the time, and I had talked to her on the phone, and she said, "How was your meeting?" I said, "It went great. We scheduled the public hearing. It's going to be on September 8th. And she said, "We're going to be in Hawaii on September 8th. And I said, "That's right. We are, aren't we?" And so we would have had the opportunity we already would have had to pay the newspaper. We just had to delay it. But I contacted Heather and I said, "Heather, you're okay. I mean, 100% okay with their running it. She is 100% capable. And I can join remotely." And I think that she did a great job running the meeting the other day.
I was just curious.
So, and any illusion that because I was in Hawaii that I took money from the wind company, I have my own money. My wife has a good job and she took.
And you were online. You were here present.
I was
online.
I was online. Matter of fact, if I wasn't here, we might have agreed to take responsibility for the county applying for a gambling license through the conservation board, because I'm the only one that objected to it. And both of our attorneys said, don't do it.
I just want to make something clear.
Yep.
I've never caught you on the tape.
What's that?
I've never caught or accused you of being on the tape. That's not something that
Well, when people talk and they talk to other people, they eventually talk to somebody because it's a small community that gets back to me when people are saying that you've been bought off. People are saying you've been bought off.
why have so.
Well, you have something in common with Bill Pierce. He thinks that I'm also, well, he questioned my integrity for that. Okay. It's been a good night. I think that we're going to call it quits.
Get
At
those guys
7:57.
That's right.